My favorite option at quarterback is finally officially in the portal. Can the Miami Hurricanes go out and get him?
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Saturday. We are live. I'm Alex Donno, your host, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. And thank you so much for making this live transfer portal season episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So, Cam Ward, Washington State Cougars quarterback, as we've suspected for the last several days, hitting the portal. He is now in the transfer portal. Now, he is also weighing the option of going pro. So he's probably, you like your NIL agent tries to reach out to all 32 teams, get an idea of where the draft stock would be. Most people do suspect he'll probably end up staying in college. Now, there was one of those fake reports that came out yesterday. They've been duping a lot of people. I've been duped by a couple of these fake transfer portal reports. Somebody yesterday, like 2 minutes after Ward hit the portal, this fake report came out claiming he had already committed to Oregon. He might end up at Oregon, but it's not happened yet. So Cam Ward is still out there. I wrote about Ward and some of the other quarterback options this morning at allhurricanes.com. Let me quote myself here, which is seems like a very narcissistic thing to do, but here's me quoting myself. Cam Ward checks off all my boxes. He's a veteran. He has NFL-level arm talent, and he can hurt defenses with his legs. Prolific with the Cougars in 2023. He completed 66.7% of his throws, 3,732 yards passing, 25 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, and he added 8 rushing touchdowns as well. And so let's talk to the panel. I'm not alone today. In fact, we are assembling the Avengers on this Saturday episode. Let me start down below with Melissa, a.k.a. Hoodie Girl. Melissa, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. The basketball team is currently playing right now, so I'm trying to focus. I'm not checking the score right now. Last I checked, we were winning. But I can't turn down an afternoon of assembling with two of my bestest friends. So what's up, guys? Good to see y'all. It's been a bit.
Good to see you, and good to see you, Chalupa Batman. And you've been like off content for a while. You've been like in the middle of a move and you're like looking for new equipment. You got all this stuff going on. I'm glad we could get you out of hiding.
There's nothing that gets me out of hiding faster than a Donno message asking if it's time to assemble the Avengers. Yeah. Like I'm not at all set up yet, but for this I will always jump on. And of course I wore a hoodie and a basketball jersey to support.
I was gonna say you got the jersey on. I love it.
But
I love it.
Hoodie Girl as well because it's a basketball Saturday. But of course, we are in the madness of the transfer portal, so I'm excited to get into that as well.
Yeah, and let me say something. I've been saying it for several days. My favorite potential transfer quarterback option is Ward. I'm not alone. Miami is not alone if they want Cam. I mean, there was a report that came out about a week ago. Even before Ward hit the portal, it was reported he's already received or had already received at that time no less than 10 seven-figure NIL offers, 1 million or more NIL offers. And, there's been a lot of smoke, around the Pacific Northwest, people wondering, maybe will he end up at Oregon or even Ohio State? I hope he doesn't end up at Florida State because that would not be good. That would not be good from a Miami point of view.
Please, God, no.
Oh, man. But I'll go around the table. Let me start with you, Chalupa, then Hoodie Girl can weigh in. So, listen, other quarterbacks out there. DJ Uyunglele is back in the transfer portal. He's a grad transfer this time around. He's leaving Oregon State. We've talked a lot on this show about the Wills. Will Rogers, Will Howard, Michael Pratt. We're still not sure what he's going to do. Yeah. They're playing their conference championship game today with Tulane. We'll see. Maybe he'll make some kind of an announcement after the game. Maybe he won't. A lot of people talk about Riley Leonard or at least a lot of people ask me about Riley Leonard from Duke. it's my understanding he's probably already locked in with Notre Dame, because even when he hit the transfer portal, he put a do not contact tag on it. It's like, you already know where if you don't want teams to contact you, you already know where you're going. So who is Chalupa? What do you think about Ward, and who are maybe some of the other options you might like in the transfer portal? You first, and then Hoodie Girl can weigh in.
I think Cameron Ward has to be at the top of everybody's board right now. I know when Dante Moore entered, it people were thinking, oh, well, who's QB1 at the moment? Right. But if you just watch Cam Ward, he's polished. He's ready to go. He's a dual threat quarterback. But what I love about a dual threat quarterback with this much seasoning and this much coaching and football under his belt, he knows how to use his legs now. You see a lot of him using his legs to extend plays, give his receivers extra time. And you can't cover receivers that long in the back end. What I love about him is that mobility, that escapability in the pocket. But he's a precision passer. He's got that pro-style arm that you want. He can make all the throws, got a quick, tight release. I think if we land him, we're all doing backflips, of course. He's as polished as it gets in the portal at the moment. I also really like Will Rogers. Again, seen a lot of football. He knows the air raid scheme. He knows the passing concepts. So I like both of those guys. Cam Ward, please. I think that's us. That's a lot of people. I just think he fits, right? He fits what we think Dawson wants in a quarterback. We saw what he did with Clayton Tune at Houston. If you watch that Houston film with Clayton Tune and then you watch Cam Ward, there's no way you can't be excited about that potential pairing. So for me, it's Cam Ward, number one. There's some other interesting guys in there. I like Will Rogers. I like the quarterback from JMU as well, McLeod. I think he's really talented. On the smaller side, a different style of quarterback. But I think if you're Mario, if you're Dawson, your 1.A1 is Cameron Ward.
I mean, I agree with CB. Does Ward only have 1 year of eligibility left?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I would love to get him because that's someone you can bring in and he starts next year. We need someone that can come in and start next year. Whether Jakari stays, Emory's obviously staying. They may not be the guy next year. I honestly wouldn't be mad if we brought in more than one. Like, people are like, oh, Dante Moore's hitting the portal. Like, yeah, he may not be ready to start next year, but you bring him in to develop a year, and then you've got this guy possibly after to play. I don't know. Again, Emory looked like he's developing. I don't know what we're going to do with Jakari. The chat's talking about Malik Murphy from Texas, Connor Wegman. I don't know if either of them are going to be entering the portal.
Let me add one name in there. Do not sleep on Arch Manning. It's not impossible that Arch enters the portal.
Don't do this to me.
I mean, I would love bring in a guy that can come in and start, but I also wouldn't mind bringing in a younger guy that maybe necessarily is QB2 or QB3 and is on the bench with a clipboard for a year, and then we add more depth to the QB room, because the depth in our QB room is Emory and then possibly Jakari if he stays. I mean, right. I know we're bringing in Judd next year, but he's not ready to be a college quarterback yet. Like, in my opinion, we need more than one guy.
Yeah, and on that note, Chalupa, Dante Moore, I don't know where he's going to end up, but it's been said by Dante and by his father that he's not going to be demanding to start wherever he goes, that the big things he's looking for are the opportunity to develop. And then, of course, the Miami fans will joke, we don't develop any quarter. Why would he come here? We can't develop. Okay, whatever. So the opportunity to develop is one thing. Being with a strong offensive line is another thing that his father specifically mentioned. Miami's got one of the top 10 offensive lines in the country. And so Melissa's scenario, it would probably be very expensive from an NIL standpoint, but the idea of bringing in Dante Moore, who's entering his second year, plus a veteran, I don't think Moore would mind that, because he wouldn't mind sitting on the bench for a year.
It almost sounded like he was trying to get ahead of the rumors before other teams got that rumor that he wants the keys to the kingdom if you're bringing him in.
Right.
I think if you read that statement, to me, that sounds like a young man that understands, maybe I land somewhere where I am the guy right away, but if I don't, I'm okay with that. It sounds like Dante's looking for the right situation and not necessarily just whoever's going to play him right away. And I think we've got that. Not just the offensive line that we have now. You look at the class that's coming in after it. Look at how young the weapons are. Chris Johnson, Mark Fletcher Jr., Kevin Riley, Robbie Washington, Ray Joseph, Shamar Kirk, Josiah Trader. These are, incoming freshmen and freshmen from this year that are still redshirting. Chance Robinson, Elijah Lofton, Riley Williams is a freshman. Jackson Carver was a freshman. Yep. The talent on this team. The talent on this team is very young. So if Dante Moore looks at a roster like this and goes, even if I do have to sit a year, I don't lose any of my weapons that I could possibly be playing with. He'd still have JoJo. He'd still have Robbie. He'd still have Ray. He'd still have the entire tight end room. You don't know if Dante Moore coming for another year means Jacoby decides to come back or Colby decides to come back. I think we've got a great young nucleus that if a quarterback is looking in the portal for a home, not just for a year, but for the next 2 to 3, why not? You got a chance to grow and develop with that core nucleus. So, yeah, you let a grad transfer come in, you let him be the guy, and it's still going to be a competition. Mario's not handing the keys to anybody. I think it's still going to be a competition regardless. But if I'm Dante Moore and I'm looking at a situation where I want to be comfortable, I want to be developed, and I want a good offensive line and talent around me, Miami has that, and they have that in that young range where he's not losing anybody if he sits for a year. So I think we've got a really enticing setup, not just for the grad transfer. I think we have a really good enticing setup for that second guy that we're all talking about, because we can go all these weapons that we're luring Cam Ward in with. They're still here for you next year. They're your weapons, and they're more seasoned when it's your turn as well.
Hey, so I want to talk about a potential scenario. What if Jakari Brown balls out in the bowl game and decides not to leave? I mean, we haven't seen Jakari Brown play football, meaningful snaps in over a year. What happens if he looks great in the bowl game and he doesn't want to go anywhere? I want to break down that scenario. Plus, the latest comments from Jeremiah Smith, who, if we're talking about, oh man, I had my spatula. I'm doing a terrible job on the spatula season. I had a spatula on my set with me the other day, but I actually used it when I was cooking burgers yesterday. So I forgot. I used the same spatula. I forgot to bring it back on set. So, if you're looking at there's no bigger flip opportunity out there, if there is an opportunity to be had, than with Jeremiah Smith. So we'll get to his latest comment. So we're only getting started. We got the Avengers assembled. We got Hoodie Girl. We got Chalupa Batman. You want to keep it locked right here on this episode of Locked On Canes. I'm having so much fun with FanDuel, and my FanDuel account is working overtime tonight with all the games going on. As the weather gets colder, not so much in South Florida, but wherever you live, the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. I actually like a couple things in that Michigan-Iowa game tonight. I think it's like up to 24 points now. I like Iowa to cover. Michigan's going to win, but I like Iowa to cover the giant spread. And I also like under 34.5 because I think that game is going to be played in defensive quicksand. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Thank you so much for making this Avengers Assemble episode of Locked On Canes your first listen today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. One of those things when I go back and read my YouTube comments, guys, after shows, people get really, really upset when I go through so many of these quarterback scenarios and I don't bring up Jakari Brown. Like, what happens if he stays? He's not committed to a long-term future. He's going to play in the bowl game in a few weeks. Then I think he's going to kind of evaluate his situation. Does he hit the transfer portal? Does he stay long-term? I really, really love Jakari, Hoodie Girl. And I find value in keeping and developing the talent that you recruited, right? Because with all these transfer portal conversations, I would much prefer to just grow your quarterback room organically from within, because that's also a powerful recruiting tool, right? Mario, when he goes into living rooms to recruit quarterbacks, can say, we're not just going to throw you in the garbage in a couple of years to bring in a transfer. Like we really want to develop you here at Miami. Could you see a scenario, Hoodie Girl, where, Jakari Brown maybe balls out in a few weeks and decides, I'm orange and green through and through?
I hope so, because I really, really like Jakari, and he got thrown to the fire last year. But you know how every fan base is. He's gonna play in the bowl game. He's gonna do really well, and everyone's gonna complain that he didn't get time during the year, or he might not do as well, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, let's move on." Like it's so petty. I want him to stay. I think he has so much potential, and he just seems like such a humble young man and bleeds orange and green. I mean, he's on the sideline celebrating with his teammates, was celebrating with Emory after that Clemson win and all of these things. So I want him to stay. Regardless if he stays or not, I still think we need 2 quarterbacks from the portal.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. I want him to stay as well. I mean, I think Jakari enjoys being a Cane. I think he loves it. If any of you guys follow him on social media, half the time the way I get pictures is he shares everybody's pictures on his story constantly. He's in everyone's comment section that's on the team when they post their pictures. You see him on the sideline celebrating with offensive, defensive guys. You can tell that he loves being a Cane. So for me, the perfect scenario is JB balls out and he earns himself a starting role here next year. Maybe they decide we don't need the grad transfer. Maybe we need to go get a younger guy or someone with some eligibility, maybe just someone to compete in the room for depth, because you never know what happens with injuries or whatever. But for me, the perfect scenario is JB balls out. He sees what he can be in this offense. And with some seasoning, with some coaching, with more football under his belt, there is no reason why Jakari Brown cannot be Cam Ward by the time he's a senior.
Right.
That's just coaching in time. Cam Ward at one point was JB. He was that raw piece of clay that somebody had to mold. And I think Shannon Dawson is the right guy to mold that. I will always go back to his Houston offense and the style of quarterback that he had and the way he developed those guys there. That's why I see the promise with Jakari Brown.
By the way, there's a lot of buzz in recruiting going on right now, because this is for 2 weeks. We're in a 2-week contact period, so there's a lot of in-home visits taking place. A lot of Miami's coaches have been around the state and around the country. Jason Taylor was in Chicago with Marquise Lightfoot, and they've completely locked down Lightfoot's recruitment. He made a nice in-home visit with Marquise and his family. Miami is, it may even be happening tonight. I think it might be tonight, making an in-home visit with Zay Mincy. Jamil Adai is going to be dining with Zay Mincy's family. That's an uncommitted, high-level 4-star defensive back from Mainland Academy in Daytona Beach. Miami is competing with Florida for his signature. It really seems to be down to 2 for Mincy. And then I wonder if Miami can lock him down, maybe that would put them in a better position to flip LJ McCray, because that's I can see Chalupa licking his chops over there, because he and LJ
all
McCray,
the names are going through my head.
Yeah, it's
they're
crazy.
Like this. They're buddies. They're basically brothers. Them two.
Yeah, and then for the 3 of us, our mutual friend Melissa Brian Smith was watching Mandarin in Jacksonville yesterday, watching Derek Plaz, the committed Miami offensive lineman, play. Alex Mirabal was also at that game, making sure that Plaz stays locked in. So Miami's coaching staff is all around. And yeah, when you talk about all these names and all the wheels that are turning, it does make my head spin a little bit, Melissa.
Plaz is locked in. I see him post so much Miami stuff when people commit, or like if we win a game or whatever. That kid's locked in. I'm not worried about Plaz, but I'm just waiting till when I should pull out all of the bookmarks that I have saved on Twitter. Just I'll wait till after signing day. But there's quite a few things.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. All right. So, and I want to talk about the biggest name of them all, and that's Jeremiah Smith. Chaminade put a beat down on Archbishop Carroll yesterday. And there are a lot of folks there watching it, including Brian Hartline. Brian Hartline, who was, of course, the Ohio State offense coordinator and receivers coach, who's, probably he might be like the top assistant coach recruiter in the entire country. Hartline gets all the top receivers. He was at the game watching Jeremiah Smith, but I think Miami had a contingent there as well. And Jeremiah, he spoke to reporters kind of about where things stand with Miami. Here's one of the quotes from Jeremiah. I think this was from Kane Sport. He spoke on Miami offering his quarterback, CJ Bailey. He says, "That definitely makes it tempting," he said. "That's my high school quarterback. That's my guy. We've been playing since I was 11 years old," he said. "Miami should have already offered CJ, man. They took too long. We've got to see how everything plays out." Now, listen, okay, you could say they took too long. I don't see Ohio State offering CJ Bailey, though. So it's not like the school where he's currently committed to show. I mean, Miami's showing his quarterback more love than Ohio State is right now. He continued about his process. "I don't know," Smith said. "We just have to see how the home visit goes and everything else. So we've just got to see. That's all." Now, that I feel like, Hoodie Girl, that gives Miami an opportunity because Miami's going to have a home visit with Jeremiah Smith. Mario Cristobal's going to have those loafers on. We got this, right? We got this.
I mean, listen, Jeremiah Smith is not locked in with Ohio State. It's very obvious that there is an opportunity to flip him where he may flip to. I don't know. He could stay with Ohio State, but I think there is an opening to get him. I think Miami's doing all of the right things. It would be nice to get a quick quarterback, like portal commitment, like when the portal opens on December 4th, which is like, isn't that in like 2 days? What's today?
Monday.
2nd?
Yeah, it opens Monday.
Yeah. I think maybe us getting a quarterback early may help. I don't know. But I know he did post something about like the Ohio State fans were posting on the message boards after Justin Scott flipped. Yeah. And he was kind of like just like shaking his head. So I mean, listen, JoJo staying home. Didn't he throw a touchdown pass to JoJo in the game
on the very first play?
He threw a touchdown pass to like some fans. Like he was the touchdown passes to every. I don't know. I didn't watch the entire game.
We ever have to go Wildcat.
Yeah. He also ran one in too. He also had like a 64-yard rushing touchdown. He
might as well like stay home with like half of his team that's coming to Miami. I think we have a chance there. We'll see. It didn't help that our quarterback play was less than par for most of the season, although we did have a couple of bounce back games towards the end. I think I really think if we can get a portal QB early, maybe helps the situation. But again, I'm just speculating. We're all kind of guessing. So
now I want to remind people that if you're worried about NIL funds, okay, a couple things with some of the players who are leaving. I don't think we've ever heard final word from James Williams, but he'll probably be leaving. Cam Kinchins is going pro. Leonard Taylor is going pro. Tyler Van Dyke, who was a top NIL earner, is leaving in the transfer portal. Plus, I'm trying to reach out. My messages are still going unanswered, but I'm trying to reach out to our guy, Uncle Louie, because the last we saw Uncle Louie, he bought all the Bitcoins. He's off the coast of Monte Carlo, making it rain, and we're trying to reach out to him. So as long as he hasn't thrown all that money into the ocean and we can get him back stateside, if we can get Uncle Louie hooked up with the Canes connection, we're going to get everybody.
We're fine. Listen, I think the biggest thing about Jeremiah, NIL, I think the biggest thing is all of his buddies, all of his friends are staying home. I think at this point, it looks like if he does flip, it's us or Florida State. But when you look at Chaminade, it's not just JoJo. If we end up getting Cedric Bailey, the rest of the receiver room also, Kyle Washington, Miami offer, was just here recently and had a visit with Coach Kevin Beard, took the pictures, did everything. Jakari Lewis, their slot guy, wears Canes gloves anytime he can. They're also trying to flip 2025 corner on the other side of the ball, Chris Ewald.
Yeah,
our coaches are speaking with his friends a lot. So again, there's that 6 degrees of separation. There's always someone, hey Jeremiah, we're here talking to Chris, but while we're here, how's everything going? And like Donno said, the biggest thing is the in-home visit. what do we hear about Coach Kevin Beard constantly? How much he relates to these players, his personal relationship, and how much they just love having time just to speak with him. So now he gets his own one-on-one time with him and the family to do what Coach Kevin Beard does, and that's foster a relationship and blossom a relationship. Chance's phone never stopped ringing after he committed. What kept him a Cane is the relationship that Coach Kevin Beard has built over the years that goes beyond football. This man is a friend to these young men. That he's a mentor, he's a guide, he's much more than just a recruiter to them. So you get him alone with Jeremiah Smith one last time, and that's our Mariano Rivera. As much as we have those loafers as well, Coach Kevin Beard, when it comes to these receivers, is our closer. All we needed was a sliver for Nye Carr, just an opportunity for Coach Kevin Beard to walk in the door, and he closed. If we give that guy time and we lose a recruit, trust me, it won't be because of effort or because of what our guys can do. Coach Kevin Beard is one of the best in the nation. I'd put him up against anyone when it comes to building relationships and fostering them. So I think we're in a good place. As long as that guy has his final say with Jeremiah Smith, I think our hat will be on the table.
See, I don't know. Like, sorry to cut you off, Melissa, but I see like the Cheshire Cat pulls this in the chat. What are you basing this from? That Jeremiah's family doesn't like Like, I don't know if that's an Ohio State fan or a Florida State fan infiltrating the chat.
How many times does he himself have to say how much he likes the school and the coaching staff?
How many times does he?
Everything you read on the internet is true. Didn't you know that? Everything you read on the internet is true,
loves
right?
Kevin Beard. I don't. Two things can be true. He likes Ohio State. He likes Miami. Two things.
And if he sticks with Ohio State, doesn't mean his family hates Miami.
Exactly.
It's just.
I will say though, if Jeremiah Smith somehow ends up flipping to Miami, I need to go back and find the clip of me on this show saying that Kevin Beard is going to end up being our best our offseason hire out of like all of the stuff that we did in the beginning and before the season. I'm pretty sure I said it on this show. I was like, Kevin Beard's going to end up being our best offseason hire. Like, book it. If he flips Jeremiah Smith, I'm just going to say it like, hey, I was right.
Quickly to that comment about the shutdown corners, I think we have two of the most underrated corners in this class, Ryan Mack and Dylan Day, who continue to put on a show. Dylan Day took his team to the state championship last night with a game-winning pick six. Ryan Mack just continues to be a ball hawk for St. Thomas Aquinas. I think we have two of the most underrated corners in the entire class this year.
By the way, look at that comedy down there. I mean, comedy. Jeremiah Smith, he's a Gator coming to the swamp, folks.
Donno, you gotta do more of these live shows because it's fun responding to the
streams.
We got Marco Polo in the chat here saying that Jeremiah Smith. Listen, and by the way, I wouldn't say I expect him in Miami. I would say the odds-on favorite is Ohio State keeping him, and I will admit if Jeremiah Smith does flip, most of the smoke has been in Florida State's direction.
Yes.
So those things are both far more likely to happen than him coming to Miami. And Jeremiah coming to Miami is far more likely that he goes to play with Sunbelt Billy, LinkedIn Billy out there in the swamp. And by the way, Billy Napier, everyone knows the clock is ticking there. They're not going to fire him this offseason. They're not going to fire him this offseason just because it's too expensive and they're already paying coaches. But after this year, when he wins 3 games, clock is ticking.
The schedule next year is insane. The schedule next year is absolute. I don't know if he has Indeed. I'm just saying, update the resume on Indeed if you have it.
Polo says Miami's poor now. Weren't we just rich the other day when we flipped Justin Scott? Which one is it?
Right.
We have
all the John Ruiz memes showed up on Twitter again. I was like, oh, so now we're rich, but then we're poor. Now, like, which one is it?
Oh, all right. Before we run, because I want to watch the end of the basketball game, and I know Hoodie Girl does. Everybody plug your work, because Hoodie Girl is awesome on the Buckets pod and absolutely prolific. Where can people see you next?
So the guys are actually will be doing post game tonight on the Buckets Pod on 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. You can also download our podcast on Six String Canes. But I just started a Twitter for us, so you can catch us on X, Twitter, whatever it is, at Buckets_Canes. We have breakdowns of all the men's and women's games. Whether I'm on there with Vish or it's all three of us, Matt and Vish are doing the breakdown tonight because it's my friend's birthday. Happy birthday, Paul. So yeah, but catch us. We have multiple shows a week. It's not even a once a week thing now. It's like whenever there's a game, we're finding some way to cover it. And we'll probably do like a live show from Vish's car after the game at Barclays next Sunday night because we'll be in New York to see that game live. So yeah, catch us on Buckets.
Live from the car. I don't see enough of those on YouTube.
Right? It's a 4-hour drive back to DC, so we got to do something.
Well, what about you, Chalupa? Where can people see, hear you, and also read you? And by the way, I want to say something here. I should have mentioned this at the top of the show. We are all colleagues now because Hoodie Girl also recently became part of the allhurricanes.com family. Chalupa and I and Hoodie Girl were all part of allhurricanes.com.
So yeah, catch all of us on allhurricanes.com. Basketball, football, recruiting news. The portal is insane. We've got you covered. Trust me that there's a tracker on All Hurricanes, so you can track the portal. You can catch my work on there, the You Heard Pod. Because I moved, I haven't been making content yet because I've been working nonstop with 2 buildings, so I haven't had a chance to set everything up. But I will be back. I think I should be doing some recordings either this weekend or maybe next weekend. Got recruits lined up. So Chalupa Batman on YouTube, check it out. There'll be new graphics, new everything, new recruits, Canes commits. I've got a list as long as Santa's this year. I've got them all lined up. So we'll be getting back to doing that. And obviously, Locked On Canes, every single day, I'm in the chat. Donno is here giving us premium content. If you are not subscribed to the subtext, please do so, especially with the portal right now. If you guys wonder how we keep up with everything, it's the subtext. It's everyone that enters. It's everyone that's leaving. It's the rumors. And it's also shutting down the rumors, too, because right now there's all these accounts that are posting things. You don't know who to trust. Join the subtext. It'll keep you informed.
Yeah, even though I've been fooled by a couple of those, but by the time I post about it on the subtext, I know what's real and what's not because there have been a lot of fake reports.
I think I have to tell you it was a troll posting the other day.
Yeah,
that's like I has 14 followers. That's a troll.
Yeah, hook, line, and sinker. They got me with one of those. Oh, man, but I appreciate everyone for tuning in. We love during transfer portal season and recruiting seasons, we do as many live streams as possible, especially during this busy month of December. Guys, speaking of live streams, after you're done watching this, check out Locked On Sports Today. The Locked On Network has a 24/7 streaming YouTube sports channel. They just don't sleep at Locked On Sports Today. So check it out. I think they change shifts of who's on, but check out Locked On Sports Today on YouTube. They keep talking about the big sports stories all day long. And we're going to talk to you guys again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.